Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Snap Decisions. I am your host with the most, your Snap DJ, and I have a very special guest with me tonight. It is one of the coolest names on Twitter. It is OBIHAVED. Obi, how are you doing, man? Thanks for coming out to the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. Oh, man, I don't know if I could stand up to that grandeur of an entrance there you given me. But
I
thank you so
love I
much.
love the name, man. OBIHAVED, and of course it's like, and then right off the bat, if I see Obi somewhere, I've got the first thing I've got to ask you. Yeah, in fact, I think I asked you when I messaged you. You've got to be a Star Wars fan, yes?
Yes, yeah, I am a
I knew
Star
it.
Wars fan for
I
sure.
knew it. I knew it. So that's where I'll start there first, and of course non-snap stuff. But what? So favorite Star Wars movie?
Oh, Empire Strikes Back.
Good call. Yeah, good call. Um, what'd you think of the recent movies? What'd you think of the recent trilogy, the Ray trilogy? I guess they're calling it
Um, Man, I wish you wouldn't have brought this up. You're gonna get me all riled up.
now. You're
We
fired
just,
up.
we just got started, Joe. Come on.
I know, right?
Here's what I'll say, and I'll make it short and sweet. If they wouldn't have done Luke so darn dirty
Oh, and that's in the second movie. Oh
in
yeah,
the
I agree.
second movie, I think everything would have been fine.
Yeah,
If they just would have went through like the normal progression of things, the training montage and all of that with, it would have been fine. But instead they
agreed.
had him like drinking the milk from the
Oh, I know.
beast.
That's awful.
It was humiliating to a guy that was like the G of the galaxy.
Yeah, yeah. Ryan
And
Johnson did him dirty, man. Yeah, I agree.
so, and then they gave him a force stroke at the end of the movie. Poor guy.
You know, it's funny. I've listened to so many people talk about that movie because I'm gonna be honest. I when I saw Force Awakens, right, and I know it was a copy of Star Wars. I get that, but
Yeah.
it was still pretty darn good. I enjoyed
Yeah.
it, and that
It was a
ending,
great flick. It was a
dude.
solid B movie for
That
sure.
ending when she walked up that mountain and she gave him that saber and that's how it cut. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. I loved it. I couldn't wait for the next part of what happens there. And I'm like,
Yes.
this is tremendous. And then you get to the next one and you're like, oh my god, like from the start. It was just awful. And then he chucks the lightsaber over his shoulder. I'm like, come on, that's not Luke. Like, that's it.
No.
And even Mark Hamill hated it. Mark Hamill hated it. He even said out loud, like he couldn't stand doing that part there. And there were only certain things that he would have had to have done to change it and make it so much cooler. Like I think
Right.
Kevin Smith brought up, could you imagine if like that ending fight, right? Instead of like you said, he was having a stroke because he projected himself across the galaxy. Imagine
Right.
he was actually there. Imagine that
Right.
was actually him. And he was out there and withstood that whole barrage from the walkers, and then came out and actually had the fight. I'm like, oh my god, it would have changed the whole thing,
Yeah. I
man.
mean, that would have been awesome. But how do you go from I am withstanding a barrage from like 200 walkers to then somehow passing away? Like, does he have the force stroke right there in the ice zone?
You know what it is, and I don't know how deep of a fan you are. Have you ever read any of the comics, like the graphic novel
No, no,
comics?
I don't get that
Okay,
deep into it. I'm
okay.
just a movie stan.
There's a thing you should check out if you ever have a chance. There was a a sequel book written a while ago in the 90s. It had to be. They called it Dark Empire, and
Okay.
I'll tell you what I went back and I looked at that book. They took a lot of stuff from that book. The dreadnoughts, the Empire dreadnoughts, the things with the planet killers in them, all that
Mhm.
stuff came from this comic book. Well,
Mhm.
the comic book had basically the Emperor was still alive, so that came from there. His body was passed on to other clones and stuff, so that came from there. So much came from that book. And Luke, in order to stop the Emperor currently getting back to himself, who was the villain in that, had to turn to the dark side. And then Leia was the one who ended up having to help him. I honestly think that they were doing that. I honestly, because they had said I think it was oh God, who did the first one? The director, I can't remember his name.
J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, he had come out and said that whole thing changed after Carrie Fisher passed, because the third movie was supposed to be her movie. Second was supposed to be Luke's. Third was supposed to be hers. And I don't think Luke was ever intended to die. I think the both of them would have survived, and I think something would have happened in that final film where they were both still there. So
wait, but she passed after the filming of the second one, didn't she?
No, she didn't get the whole second film done. I don't think.
Oh, well.
But I think that changed a lot of it. I really do. You'll check that book out if you ever get time. It's a really good read. It's a really good Star Wars book. Yeah, it's an excellent story. But I think that's where they were going. Like they copied so much from it, and I'm like, I kind of think they were doing something similar where they meant to both. But they had said I forget again the director of the third film was supposed to be Colin Trevorrow, the guy who did Jurassic Park. Mm-hmm. And he came out and said that Leia was his central character. And when she passed, that it changed the whole thing. So I was like, yeah, that kind of stinks. What do you think about the stuff they're doing now, though? Like what do you think about like the TV shows and stuff like that? Mandalorian's great, obviously.
Mando I thought was good. First 2 seasons. Third season got a little weird, but that's okay. I mean, it's still good. I enjoyed it. Book of Boba Fett was that
was okay. Yeah.
It was meh.
Yeah,
I did enjoy Andor quite a bit.
Andor's awesome. Yeah, Andor's really
I'm
good.
a big fan of Diego Luna.
Yeah.
That was legit.
Yeah.
And the Acolyte. So, man, I don't know what all the backlash is from for the Acolyte. Like, again, I am not a big comic book stan, so I don't know the lore, the history. But just taking it on face value, it's cool.
I didn't like the fact that they cut out the scene where the Wookiee didn't fight, but I had heard that that's coming. I heard we're going to get a flashback scene of that. So are you caught up? Have you?
Yeah. Okay. I didn't. Well, I mean, the one today hasn't released.
No, that doesn't come on until I think 9 o'clock or something my time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was able to guess who the Sith Lord was. I knew it was that dude. He was just too slimy and greasy, and he reminded me a little of Kylo. But I was like, yeah, it's too. But no, I like it, man. I'm kind of digging the story. People are bitching because of the timelines. There was Ki-Adi Mundi is in it. The guy with the big, long, elongated head, and he was in Phantom Menace too. So they're saying that why did he make the comment in Phantom Menace that the Sith haven't been heard from in countless blah blah blah? So that's where they're going back to. But that's so stupid. Like you could pawn that off. You can. Who knows? Like before the end of the series, every one of these people may die. Literally,
maybe that was his twin brother, you know.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, it's so stupid that people like critique stuff like that, like little stuff like that. Like, who cares? If it's a good show, it's a good show. What did you think of Ahsoka? Did you see Ahsoka?
I like Ahsoka. I'm a big fan of Rosario Dawson. Yep. It did like the pacing of that show. I had an issue with at times.
Okay.
But that from a Star Wars standpoint, I thought it was cool.
Now, did you see Rebels? Have you seen the animated series Rebels?
No, not the whole way through. I've seen parts of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I watch it with my kids every once in a while.
That one was the best one. That literally, honestly, the ending of that show, if you ever go back and watch it, the last season of that show was tremendously better than the new films. Tremendously better. There's a scene in that with Darth Vader that just blew my mind. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is it. Yeah, it's tremendous. And that whole thing and Ahsoka too is being done by Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni, I will let him touch any Star Wars thing he wants to because he is an absolute fanboy. He loves this, and he worked for Lucas, so he knows what's going on. And I'm like, yep. And I've heard he's going to do a movie then out of the Ahsoka thing. It's going to spring into a movie with Thrawn, and I'm 100% down with that too. So yeah, man.
What did you think about Obi-Wan series?
Obi-Wan was okay in parts, but it went too fast. I think they made it a little too short. I would have made it a little longer and dragged out the thing with Vader and Ben a little bit more.
That fight was dope, though.
Oh, it was. The fight scene was amazing, and I love the little girl played Princess Leia. She was spot on for that character. Like the little bit cocky, a little bit like, you know, bullish. I was like, yeah, she's perfect for the role. No, I enjoyed it. No, the fight was amazing. Yeah, the fight was absolutely amazing.
Obi just like, I'm launching rocks at you now.
Yep.
I was like, oh, this is amazing.
Yep. Yeah, man. I'm a big Darth Vader fan. Ever since I saw the first movie when I was 8 years old up on the screen in 1977, I'm like, took my breath away. I remember going there, my dad's sleeping next to me, and I look up at the screen. I'm like, seeing this big black thing come walking out. I'm like, that's amazing. Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm a big Star Wars nerd. I have been ever since I was a kid when I saw the first one, and yeah, that's awesome, man. I love it. I knew as soon as I'm like, I got this guy on. I got to talk Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure. Man.
Imagine if they made a Snap game similar to Star Wars. Oh my God, if they use like Star Wars content.
So they had a tabletop Star Wars card game. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Decipher, the one from the 90s.
Yes. Yeah. So me and my brother got the starter pack, and he played the dark side, and I grabbed the light side, and we would battle. It was fun.
That was hard as hell to play, I thought. Very like compared to I was a big Magic player, so I came from Magic the Gathering, and I tried back in the 90s. They made almost every license into a card game when Magic came out. Everyone tried it, but Decipher was hard to play. I remember having games with friends. But man, dude, have you looked to see? I just sold some of mine because I had them still in binders. Some of those cards go for amazing amounts. They go for amazing amounts of money now. Some of them, like I had a lot of the foil ones. I sold one to a person for $400. I'm like, oh my God, really? Like, it's like it's a dead game. You don't know why anybody would want it, but I was like,
man, 20 years ago, man, this is a long time. I sold my entire Magic collection for $600.
You and me both, my friend. You and me both. And
regret it. I should have at least kept my one deck. I had such a great deck.
What'd you play?
I played white. It had 4 Exalted Angels, 4 Wrath of Gods. It was a killer, man. You
were my nemesis because I played all black. Nothing but straight black discard. That was my game.
Would you play chains and all that stuff?
That was before chains. So we started in the 90s, right after. So Alpha first, Beta second. We got in on Unlimited, so the third set that they ever made. But Alpha and Beta were still available, so we were able to we go to tournaments and conventions and stuff like that. I was able to procure myself a original Beta Black Lotus. I had a Lotus. I had a whole set of Moxes. I had in my black deck, I had Juzam Djinns, which were 5. They were from the Arabian Nights set back then. Right. That Lotus today, a friend of mine that I used to play with, he sold his collection when he did for a down payment on his house, which was pretty good. He comes back to me and he said, Joe, have you seen what our cards are worth? And I said, I'm guessing I don't want to now. And he goes, yeah, don't ever look on eBay. So of course, the minute he told me that, I go on eBay and my Lotus is sitting there selling for like $250,000, and I'm like, oh my God, I would have been a millionaire. But it's like, who knew? It's you never know any of that stuff. But yeah, no.
I wanted to buy a kayak at the time. How freaking stupid was that?
Right.
To kayak the Chicago River. This is how dumb I was when I was younger. So I went through the sale and all that, and then I'm telling my plan to a friend of mine at the time. He's like, dude, you realize that the river's toxic, and if you fall in, you're gonna get sick, right? And I'm like, but I see people kayaking all the time. He's like, yeah, they're risking a lot. And I'm like, damn it.
We all do silly things. I remember selling off my whole entire collection of Star Wars figures, which were all first gen. They all came out in the 70s. Of course, they weren't carded because we were kids. I never kept them on the cards. We played with them. But I remember selling my whole lot of figures and a bunch of the ships and stuff that I had to a guy when I was 18 years old because I wanted to take a girl and my friends to Atlantic City to go to the boardwalk. So I sold him. Wow. This dude comes up. He gives me $75 for like all.
In what year?
This was high school, 80s.
Oh, dude, that's a lot of money back then.
87.
Like you
86,
felt rich
87.
with $75.87.
I mean, we were able to go. Like, it bought me basically a day at the beach and a room and a bus trip and all that kind of stuff. So it was like, yeah, it is. But I mean, like, good Lord, if I would have kept them, it would have been a bunch of money today too. But yeah, we do things, right? I mean, you don't think of it at the time. You figure it's and I'm not playing anymore. It's whatever.
Right.
So I hated white in Magic. Oh my God, the people! If I come up against back in the time I was playing, there was a white blue deck. So it had counter spells in it. I think it was pretty much the only blue, but it played with a white card called Moat. I hated that card. You couldn't attack if they had that if they had that in play. And black had no way to disenchant anything. So if they had a card like that in play, I had no way to get rid of it. If they got it out, my creatures just sat there. I could never ever attack them. So, and then they would counterspell my other stuff. If I did happen to get a creature out, they'd use stupid Swords to Plowshares and kill it. And I'm like, and there I am sitting there like, well, this sucks. I can't do anything. But Magic was fun. I that's one of the things that I missed from this game, and I'm so glad they're bringing it in with alliances now, is just the fact that you could talk to people across the table. When you're playing somebody else, you're seated in front of someone, and you could trade cards and stuff like that with them, with binders and everything, and just chat with the person. And I missed that experience with digital card games. So I am glad that Alliances is getting a chat anyway. At least people will be able to talk to one another, which is cool.
Yeah, and some sort of like shared deck feature I saw in there too. Like maybe if you get like win an 8 cube, or like, hey, OBIHAVED won 8 cubes with this list or something like that automatically. But I do like that. Hopefully they'll make it so that you could just do it on your own. Hey guys, check out this new hotness, type situation.
Yeah, I think it's cool. The only part about it is I want to find out more about it. I want to see how many of them like you could join. Like, because I remember World of Warcraft, I was a big World of Warcraft player, and we could only be in one guild. You can't join multiple. So I want to see how that works out, because it's going to be hard. Like, people are going to want to start their own. I've already had people that listen to my show like, are you having an alliance thing? And I'm like, I'm thinking about it, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to get people to join. It's like, Interrobang said he's starting a Heralds of Galactus one, which I'm like, oh, I want in that. So I don't know.
The academy is going to be open. I already said it from the get.
Nice.
We're going to have the academy, so all are welcome to apply and
that's awesome.
join. We're not going to have any crazy restrictions or anything like that. We want people to come and have fun, and
it's really all it should be. Like, even when I was a guild master in Warcraft, like, some people got into that hardcore, like they're playing all the time, but we always had a good mix of players. Everybody was kind, everybody was cool. If anyone got out of hand or anything, you just boot them out of there. And if somebody was not playing for a while, they had I think Warcraft itself had a thing where if they just didn't play, they just eventually just got washed out of there. So yeah, I'm excited for that. That's one of the things I'm excited for that's coming out.
Minus 10 DKP for being late.
There you go. You get a demerit if you're not on time. That's awesome.
Yeah. Dungeon night points. You remember that stuff?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yes, I do. All right. Let me go into some stuff with you here. I want to open up, and I want to start off with obviously today is a big day in Marvel Snap. Probably, I think the most anticipated card, I think, since High Evo. I think that's fair. Because High Evo, with everything that was going on, with giving y'all new cards and stuff like that, I think it's probably the most anticipated card since maybe that. Where by anticipated, I don't necessarily mean like I think it's the best card ever, but it's the most wanted one for the most people, I think.
It's got that big bad feel to it.
Yeah. It really does. It changes a game. It's a 7-cost card, which we don't have. And then obviously it's allowing you to play a different game. You are now playing basically like, sure, you can still make your own deck, but you're almost kind of playing on an even field in a way with RNG, because you're going to get garbage and your opponent's probably going to get some garbage that neither of you are going to really want to play, like an M'Baku or an Uatu. But I think it all probably evens out in the long run. and it gives you a different, just a different way to play the game because of the more energy and stuff like that. So, obviously, you got the card. I asked you earlier.
Yes. So let me give a disclaimer here, guys. For those of you that are fans, right? All the Obi fans out there, I told you last night I wasn't gonna roll, and at the time I was adamant that I wasn't gonna roll. And then I'm sitting here at work and I'm doing my stuff and I'm watching people on Twitch and I'm watching the play patterns here and I'm like, this isn't as horrible as I had in my mind's eye.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll one key. One key. That's all I'm gonna do. If I hit, I hit. If I don't, I walk away. I just wanted to gamble one, and I hit it on one. So that's how I landed on Arishem.
Nice. Hey, you got lucky. I had a blow 4. I was very sad when the first one I got was the 1,000 tokens because I own every card. So the first thing I got was that. And I'm like, all right, come on, man, give me a break. Second one I got was Hercules, which I know I'm never going to use because I hate move. I literally do not like the moved archetype at all. And then I'm like, oh, man. And then, of course, the third one, I get Black Swan, which is even worse. I don't think I've ever used that card, literally. But I was like, man. But, okay. So you stream the game, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay, yes. That's what I figured. So, well, before we go any further, let everybody know where they can find you and where they can find your streams.
Well, I stream on Twitch, OBIHAVED. You can also find me on the Twitter or X if you prefer that designation, also OBIHAVED. And you can find old episodes of Deep Space because we do film it live. It was on Monday evenings. We're doing an EU edition on Sundays now. But yeah, you can watch old episodes of Deep Space on my YouTube. Also, OBIHAVED. That's OBIHAVED.
Very cool. Very cool. And now, how did you get into what? Well, let me ask you this first. We'll go back to the beginning. Mm-hmm. What brought you into Snap? How did you find out about it, and when did you start?
How did I find out about it? Well, some friends of mine said, "Hey, are you going to play this new gacha game called Marvel Snap?" And I was like, "No."
Presented like that, I probably wouldn't have either. Yeah,
I mean, that's literally how he does. Like he calls all mobile games gacha games. It's my good friend Jason, and nice. I was like, no, probably not. I wasn't a big mobile gamer at the time, right?
Yep.
So I was sitting on the sofa, and I saw a commercial with Samuel L. Jackson for Marvel Snap.
I remember that. Yeah.
Right. And then I was like, that looks kind of cool. Let me download. Let me see what this is about. Right. And I downloaded it and I played probably from the very first season. I was maybe like 2 weeks after launch is when I got into it. And then me and my buddy, I connected with him. I was like, hey, I ended up getting that game. He's like, oh, cool. And then like, for like 3 months, we were back and forth going like, what card you get? What card you get? And then we'd play each other and stuff. And I got lucky. I ended up getting Patriot, Mystique, and Ultron within the first 2 months.
That's nice.
And I ruled life after that. Like that list was dirty good. And then Killmonger came out and it wasn't quite as good.
I'll stop that right in its tracks.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how I got into it. I played probably 6 or 7 months, and I had been getting Infinite every season after the first one. And I was like, man, I'm not like the best player at this, but I think I'm okay, right? Let me see if I can stream it and maybe show some people like that want to get better and aren't as good as perhaps I am. I can show them what I've learned and whatnot. And that's how I started.
That's awesome. Are you partnered with them yet?
Yes. I am an official Snap creator. That just happened 2 months ago. So,
oh man, congrats.
Yay.
That's awesome. I often wondered if I'd like to try doing it, but I don't think I have the means as far as computer wise goes yet. I'd have to get a better PC. My desktop PC is just pretty much for my wife's work that she does for school and stuff like that. So not a gaming PC by any stretch of the imagination. So I think I have a decent setup because I do other podcasts, but I would definitely have to get some more power, I think, to have, because I could run the game through this. StreamYard allows you to do that. I could run the game right through this on a separate screen, but I would have to get a second monitor to do it, and I'm not too sure the computer I have is going to handle it. But it would seem fun. I do a lot of goofy stuff that people have already said to me, you should really stream that. Like I started that goofy weekends with Agatha thing that I've been doing since like the start of that I've been on Twitter playing this game. And basically what I do is I just do my weekend missions with Agatha, and I don't use any other. I like just make an Agatha deck, throw the 2 weekend mission cards in there, and just let it rip. And it's so ridiculous, but it works. Like I have no idea why, but it actually works. But yeah, no, that's cool, man. That's awesome that you're a partner and stuff with them. That's really, really cool. So you got in. Was it now? I started Miles season. I don't remember what season that was. But yeah. So you must have gotten around the same time then, I guess.
Yeah, same one. Miles was the first season.
Okay.
It was the symbiote season.
Yeah. So then you started right around the same time. Well, you know what I loved about this game when I first started was going up that track and getting the new cards was so much fun. Like I can remember going up and I'm like, and I remember when I found Snap Zone for the first time and I'm checking off all my cards on their checklist. I'm like, okay, I've got this one, I got this one, and now here's what I need, and this is what I'm gonna. It was so cool doing that. Like, and the decks, people are playing. Like, I remember playing Zoo, and I remember playing Wong, and of course then Destroy a little bit later when you got some better cards for Destroy. But it was the start of that game for myself and probably just so many other people was just so much fun and enticing until you got past, now Series 3 for me, and you probably remember this, before they started having all the stuff that they have now, when they came out with the big bads, I remember when they first announced them, and it was Thanos, Galactus, and but you had such a minuscule chance of popping one of those from one of those chests.
Yes.
And I can remember the day I got Galactus. I was in my bathroom getting ready for work.
Wait,
and I'm like,
you got Galactus from a chest?
In a cache.
Wow.
Yes.
Shoo, man. Did you go buy a lotto ticket that day?
I probably should have. I had no idea how rare it was.
Dude.
As soon as I wanted Thanos in a bad way. I'm a big Thanos fan too. But when I popped him open, here's a funny story, right? When I got him, I'm looking at him, and my first thought was, well, this sucks. Why would I want to be able to blow up the other locations? This sucks. I don't want to use this stupid thing. That was my first thought, right? And then all of a sudden I see a couple, because then I gradually seeing more people had it, and people are playing against me, and then they locked me down with the Spider-Man. I'm like, oh, damn. Like, if I would have started playing that, I would have probably been infinite way back then, because not many people had it. And it was, the
difference was, man, back then that was like a 2-cube farmer. That's it.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's true, because people would leave.
It took forever.
Yeah.
Like, remember, those grinds were 10 levels in each ranking. Like, you didn't get a boost. And it wasn't like 7 cubes or 8 cubes per level.
Yeah.
Like, it was 10 and 10, and you had to grind all of that crap out.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember well. In fact, the first time I got close to infinite, I got there with the Galactus deck, and I made it to 99. And then I tanked. I lost and lost and lost and lost. I ended up back down by 81 or something, and I was like, that sucked. But I just made it back. And after all these, I finally hit infinite for the very first time in this game. Over this past week.
Let's go.
Right?
Congratulations,
Thank
dude.
you.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I took a deck. It was an Annihilus Cersei Pixie deck. And I just ran with it the whole entire time. You should have seen me, man. I'm like all over a game. I'm 54 years old, and I'm sitting here, and I'm at 2 cubes away from 100. I go out and tell my wife, I'm like, listen, I'm just letting you know. She knows I play. She knows I do this, but she doesn't know much about the game. I said, I'm just letting you know, if you hear me screaming in the other room, it's because I hit infinite for the front. And she's like, all right, well, I'm glad you warned me. Like, just so you know. And then I finally hit it, and I was literally jump out of my chair. I'm like, yes. I finally did it after all these months and that excruciating time when I went to 99 that one time. And it's like, I would love to play the game more than I do. My job doesn't allow it. I work retail, so retail hours are really goofy, and it's like I just don't have the time to do it as much as I'd like to. But it was cool. I so many people, and I love the Snap community. They've been like, everybody's been so amazing. Like, people are like, I put a post out on my Twitter that said, "Yo, Adrian, I did it" on the thing after I hit it.
Oh man,
and everybody's like, everybody's underneath the post like, "Congrats!" I must have had 200 and some replies to a post, and it's like, that's pretty awesome. Like, you don't see that. Another podcast I do is a wrestling podcast, and oh my god, what a difference! Like, that crowd that we get there is overtly negative, almost about everything, which is the stupidest thing about wrestling of all stuff. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was
Speaking of wrestling, have you and King of Canada kind of joined forces yet, or
who, me and who?
King of Canada?
No.
Apparently he used to like wrestle professionally. He's like an ex-wrestler. So that might be an avenue for you guys to kind of explore and hit up together.
I would I would have to look at it. What is he, a streamer?
Yeah, he's a streamer on Twitch. His name is
you'll have to send me after the show. You have to send me his Twitter at.
Yeah,
I'll have to look him up. Yeah, no, we started a podcast with pro wrestling back during COVID. A friend of mine and I, who have never met face to face, we just met each other through the internet and stuff. And it was a cool time back then because we got to interview a lot of wrestlers because they were all stuck at home. So, many of them just wanted to get their names out there and stuff because they couldn't wrestle. So we got to talk to a lot of wrestlers during that time. So yeah, it was kind of cool. And I've always been a fan. I've liked wrestling since I was a kid. But yeah,
favorite wrestler, go.
All time, we talking?
Yeah, all time.
Roddy Piper.
Whoa, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Bret Hart.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Bret the Hitman. Great call. Yeah,
my favorite match was the what was it? The hour-long match with him and Bret Michaels.
Him and Shawn. Yeah.
Shawn Michaels. Yeah, sorry, I conflated both their names. Dude,
yeah.
He had him in a sharpshooter for half an hour.
Yes, it did.
Like, that was wild.
Yes, he did. Roddy Piper's mind followed very closely by The Undertaker. I was always fascinated by like supernatural stuff. I'm a big horror nerd too. But I got to meet Andre the Giant at a very young age. I was about 8 years old, 9 years old. My father took me. They used to go back in the day. They used to go to like local gyms and wrestle. And we had one here close to me, and my dad took me. And I remember going, and I'm like, I see him, and then we're leaving the arena, and they're walking out from this locker room, and he passes me, and I just look up at him like this, and he puts his big, humongous hand on my head and goes, "You're a good boy." I'm like, oh my god! Like, that was Andre. And then all of a sudden, I turned to my dad, and I'm like, "Dad, do you have a pen or something? Like, I'm scrambling to get this dude's autograph." And I'm like, "Do you have a pen?" "No." I'm like, "Oh man, how could you not have a pen on you? It's like the 70s. Everybody carried pens in their pockets on their shirts."
Where's your checkbook?
That's right? And I'm like, oh my god. But yeah, that's I have a long storied thing with pro wrestling. My dad took me to wrestling shows in like Philadelphia. I remember seeing stuff in the Spectrum in Philly and stuff like that. But yeah, it's great. It's different today than it used to be.
Oh yeah,
but there's still some cool people that I liked. I was a big fan of Bray Wyatt's because he had all the supernatural stuff going on, and then when he passed away, it was very sad. He was only like 35 years old and stuff. It was my first tattoo. He had a character symbol, and I never got a tattoo before in my life, and I'm like, I'm going to get this tattoo now because he does like tribute kind of to him. So yeah, I'll have to look up King of Canada. That's cool. I'll have to look it up. We'd probably be sitting on my show talking about wrestling for 2 hours.
I mean, that's okay. As
that's
long as
fine.
You guys are having fun, man.
I'm good with that.
For sure.
So what did you think of Arishem so far? Obviously you got him. What have you seen so far? Like, what are your early thoughts on the card?
It's better than I expected competitively.
Okay.
I mean, I already knew that it was going to be fun, right? It brings it fills your deck with incredibly new cards that you had no clue. Everything's new and popping up, and But the list that I put together, I think I lost maybe 2 games out of 10. Like, and this is at like top 1,000. So I don't like to. I know a lot of people are like, just go in proving grounds and test stuff out, but I'm like, no, it takes too long. I don't care about my rank. If it goes up,
Yeah.
it goes up. I just no, thank you.
Yeah. That's one of the things I noticed about once I hit infinite. I'm like, that's the pressure's kind of off because listen, I know I'm never probably going to be a top 1,000 player. So I'm like, if I lose, I lose. And I just to your point about proving grounds, honest to God, is awful. When I go in there and I play just to practice, which I've done, but you will see the stupidest decks in there that you just can't. And now I feel bad saying that because it's probably some new people playing the game, but you'll
They're
see
just trying it out,
right? Yeah, like that. But they have no rhyme or reason to them. Like you'll see a card come out, like let's say somebody puts out a Deadpool. You're like, oh, okay, they're playing Destroy, and then you'll see them put out like a something completely not Destroy. Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing? And
you're gonna hate the rest of the season because that's all Arishem players from here on out.
Yeah, you're gonna see this all random stuff. But I mean, that I could get used to because at least I know that at least I have my deck and hopefully I'll dig some cards out of my deck and stuff like that I'm playing. So, but yeah, it's just proving grounds. Conquest overall, honestly, I play a lot of it. I get the rewards and stuff like that in there and everything, but it's something that I don't know. I think it needs a change. I just don't really know what they do with it. I know some people said eliminate proving grounds, just go right to silver, make it like one match and go right to gold and just shorten it or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on proving grounds?
I think proving grounds should be an auto snap every game. Like just get in, get out, get done. I think silver can just be punted. You don't need a silver.
Yeah, that's very true.
What else? I think they need to vary the avatar rewards. I've been saying this for a while on my own show. Like, why don't we have colored borders at this point or seasonal border changes? Like it's been the same spinny thing for over a year. And before it was this spinny thing, it was another spinny thing that looked exactly like the original border. Like there was like no difference at all.
It's true.
So I was like, why would I even want to like waste 5 hours of my life to have an avatar that looks almost exactly the same?
Yeah, you're right. And now they have those new blue and gold ones that you get anyway with the cards that you pull from the thing. So then I mean, the blue and gold ones don't look that bad. So you can actually get those without even having to play in there.
I bet you they'll have borders that you can buy that are going to be like totally dope too.
Oh yeah, I would imagine. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, but no, I agree. I think something has to be done with that. And who knows? Maybe once this Deadpool's Diner thing comes out, and maybe that'll become a more a thing that will happen more often, and then people will just probably kind of forget about it. I would imagine because who's not going to play? Look, whatever Deadpool's Diner ends up being like, it sounds a little confusing, but I think it's I kind of think I have the gist of it. But I think everybody's obviously going to play because you're going to get a free card. I mean, you're getting a free card out of it. So
it's free card mode. Absolutely. Everybody should be happy that this is coming.
Yeah.
And they're going to continue to use it to give out free cards. And so it's like, free stuff is good. Be happy about free stuff, guys. If you guys are out there and you're complaining about free things, evaluate why you're playing a game.
Dude, I go back to that presentation, right? So when they had that, what a disaster that was. Like I'm sitting there watching that horrible IGN presentation for like 5 hours. I got home at 5. I'm like, they're supposed to be on at 5:30. Nope. Supposed to be on at 6. Nope. I'm sitting there through, and then, dude, I sat through one of the worst things I've ever seen when they did a list of the top 10 or something Mario characters on a whiteboard. And I'm like, this is like cringe. This is awful. But, and I'm sure you'll agree, if they would have just simply led off with saying, hey guys, we are giving you a free card. Period. That's all you had to say. We're giving you a free card. Yes. And hey, we got this cool alliances now coming out. That's coming as well. You're getting a free card out of this Deadpool's Diner thing. And then that's all they had to do. It would have
Nobody
been
knew. Nobody knew.
Right? It would have been so easy.
In fact, I think they started it with saying like, "Sorry, character mastery's gone," or some garbage like that.
Yep,
it was
they
just
apologized because another thing on the roadmap didn't come to pass. Yeah.
it was just weird.
It really was.
And okay, no offense to, I've already gone on this rant a bit, but no offense to the people that Second Dinner sent to give this presentation.
No,
they weren't the most charismatic, animated, interesting people to watch. They definitely weren't a Ben Brode. No. I mean, at the very least, have him on a video doing his shtick for the Deadpool Diner like they do for the other stuff, right? Yep. And it would have came off better than whatever they did. And I'm sure they're lovely people and they tried their best. And I'm not trying to rag on them. I'm just saying from a business perspective, they could have upped the production value quite a bit. And it wouldn't have taken much effort.
Yeah, I agree. Most of, I think that stuff is probably scripted anyway. So they're reading from a script, but you're right. I asked myself the same question. I'm like, why the hell isn't their biggest ambassador of this game at this thing? Right. Like if this is going to be such a big deal and how they presented the PC launch.
Dude, they hyped it up huge. Guys, we have to wait for the IGN announcement. Yeah, they did. This is gonna be, you know, we can't say anything. You guys are gonna be blown away. Yep. We're gonna be displaying XYZ and we didn't even get to see it because they said it was gonna be on the show and it wasn't. And then it got released in a video afterwards, and it was so poorly presented that it left people with a sour taste in their mouth. And then they did these questions for the audience that were like, yo, unless you go to a comic book shop every Wednesday like Prashant does, you're not going to know the answer to these things. The average IGN viewer, that they don't know.
No, they're not going to know that stuff. They're more into video games than they are comics. Excuse my dog barking.
That's all right. He's got a little hound in him.
She is a beagle pit bull.
She's a beagle bull.
Yeah, she's definitely got the hound bark for sure.
Mm-hmm. My dog's the same way. He's a mutt.
Yep. Yeah, my dog's father was a beagle, very small beagle, and the mother was an enormous pit bull. The little boy was determined. I'll give him that. But but no, you're right. It was a disaster, and unfortunately it was a rough time for the game anyway because of the PR they were getting about all the expensive stuff that they were releasing over and over, the collectible borders that cost so much money and all that stuff. They needed a real shot in the arm from that. And, I remember saying on my podcast, I'm like, I'm pretty excited. I'm hoping we're going to get a new game mode. Well, we did, but it was in the far out, on that map that it may never even come to pass in a draft mode, which who knows if we'll ever even see. But yeah, all in all, like I said, it was so simple. All they had to do was say free card. That's it. I mean, we only ever got one other one, and that was Kitty Pryde, and that was because the card was so massively screwed up when it first came out. So,
right.
But yeah, crazy, man. It's crazy. So anyway, back to Arishem. So you said it's more competitive than you thought.
Yes. Is it going to blow the pants off like the best 12? Probably not. But no, is it the Sucksville that I thought it was going to be? Absolutely not. It's good. It's not great. It's good competitively, and it's even better from a fun factor. So I've been having a good time playing him, and I've been winning a decent amount of games.
That's cool.
Granted, the sample size is super small. It just came out 6 hours ago.
Yeah. I only actually got to play for about a half an hour because I had to do another. I did the podcast today, and then I did this one. So I only got to play about a half an hour or so. But I'm excited to play it and see what happens. The few games that I got some crap. I mean, I got a Carnage that obviously I could never play because I'd already had some cards down in all the lanes. So I'm like, well, that's a wasted card. Right. But I had the double blobs, which was pretty cool. I ended up pulling a Darkhawk from Arishem just happened. I'm like, oh my god, this thing's
Yeah.
like, I put it out, it's like 35 points. Of course,
Yeah.
the other guy got a Shang. I'm like, oh, it was like so. But yeah, I think it's a fun card. I do. I'm a little upset that they didn't make this one a little earlier in the season because it's going to have a heyday for a week, and then you're going to start Deadpool. So I don't, now granted, the Deadpool cards early season don't look like they're game shattering. So maybe it'll go on a little ways, but I don't know. I wanted the card to be fun. I wanted it to be different, and it certainly seems like it is so far.
If you look from past experience, I think they try to hold like the cards they feel are stronger in nature to the latter half of the season.
Yeah.
You look to Blob, Arishem, and I'm blanking on any others at this point, but I'm sure they're there. Beta Ray Bill, right? Also, that was a very strong card that season. I don't know why they only give you. Maybe it's because they want to like throw a wrench into the Infinity Conquest, and
Maybe.
shake up the meta,
Yeah.
kind of. But
yeah, that could be a possibility,
you.
especially for guys like you that are streamers and stuff. I figured, someone like yourself that streams the game, this has to be pretty cool for you because you can literally go into a stream and be like, all right, we're doing an all Arishem stream tonight, man. This is all we're doing. Come and check it out. See all the frolics of whether I'm going to get garbage or good cards, and come because now like you were just saying, you could just do Infinity Conquest with it. You could mess around with that. So I figure something like that has to be pretty good for streamers. I'd imagine.
So shout out to my teammate JJ Rolk and his partner in crime Oro. They've created a chat draft that's integrated into Twitch and the game, so that not the game itself, but Twitch itself. So it'll display a selection of 6 cards, and your viewers get to draft the deck for you. They've added functionality so that you could battle a viewer, and they can also draft their own deck from the same selection. It's pretty fun. So like that kind of stuff is hella good. So much fun.
Yeah, it seems like it is. I actually played JJ Rolk in the Snap Judgments League. This past one, I
He's a
beat
good
him.
player.
Yeah,
let's go.
He beat me, and it was funny because we played early on, and then we got to the final 8. So I made it to the final 8, and then I ended up beating him. He was upset with himself because he said he made a mistake like early in the one game, and he was mad at himself. But it was cool. Like I met a lot of people through that Snap Judgments League. You get to talk to people, set up your games and all that kind of stuff, and everything like that. But yeah, no, he's good. He was playing. What did he play against me? Professor X Ravona Lockdown, where he was he also had something in there too where he was double Professor Xing. It might have been Moon Girl. I don't remember, but he ended up having 2 Professor X's. So it was a nasty deck. So yeah, it's cool. That's neat. It's cool to get to know everybody, and that's one of the reasons why I like playing in that league is because you just meet new people.
I enjoy those with varying degrees of enthusiasm. When I first started the game, I was in a Discord that used to host Marvel Snap tournament. I mean, this is before I started streaming. This is before they had any type of competitive anything for Marvel Snap. It was just grassroots. Hey, we're doing tournaments. There's themed tournaments, and we would do this a lot. Same format. You match up with someone. You got a week to set up your matches. But having done that for 6 months and getting paired with people that were like in Asia, typically.
That's
is the worst.
Time zone, yeah.
Yeah, it's rough. And they want you to play at like 4 a.m. and it's like, what? No, I'm like, I'm sleeping. What do you mean?
Yeah, you're gonna do that, yeah. Yeah. The worst one I got matched up with was my very last one. I forget the name of I think they were a good Snap player too. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but theirs was a little weird because they were overseas. So I ended up having to play them like in the early morning here. So I had to play at like 11 or 12 o'clock in the morning, 10, 11, no, 10, 11. So it must have been pretty far away. So that does get a little weird. Because it can be hard to get everybody together and to be able to do that. So yeah.
Plus, I got a 9 to 5. I got 2 kids. I got a wife. Like I'm good with the added pressure. Plus, I have to stream 2 nights a week and get prepped for that. Yep. And I also have a podcast which needs to get prepped for as well as you know. So, I mean, time is of the essence.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. It definitely is. I know that they're trying to get bigger things started. Obviously, Felicity and SnapCon.
Joe, are you going?
I wish. I'm too far away. If plane tickets weren't as expensive as they were, I would have considered it. But
where are you?
Northeast PA. So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super far.
I mean, you should keep looking, dude. I found tickets from Central Illinois, like middle of cornfields, for a couple $100.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
So
maybe I'll look in, because I know a lot of people that I know. The kid Snap, I think he's going.
Yes.
Gunny T just said that he's going because he's doing the tournaments there. So a lot of the people who I know are actually going. So yeah, that would be amazing. I would love to meet like all these people that I've watched over the course of time, and I watch Binks almost every night just because of the fact that he's on until 2 o'clock in the morning, and I stay up late every night. So I always have him on. But yeah, that'd be amazing. It'd be awesome to actually actually meet people face to face for a change. So yeah, absolutely. That'd be awesome.
I wonder if Binks is going to come back this year. That'd be cool if he did.
I think I heard Felicity say he was. I remember I was listening to. She was on somewhere. She might have been on the kids' show, but I think she had mentioned Binks. So I think they said he was going to. So yeah, it'd be cool.
Sweet.
Keeps getting bigger and bigger. That's awesome. That's very cool for that. You would think, hey, you know what? Second dinner, throw them a little money. That would be a nice thing to do.
Oddly enough, when they had SnapCon last year, I didn't even know about it. I had just hit affiliate.
Yep.
On Twitch.
So right around that same time. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So I don't know. So would your recommendations be to your audience or to the audience that's listening to me? Would your recommendations be to get Arishem? Let's say you maybe have. Let's say you're maybe not collection complete and you have maybe a couple keys. Would you suggest getting the card?
In that respect, yes.
Okay.
Because it gets you access to cards you may not have already, right? Because it fills your deck with random stuff.
True.
It's also very easy to complement Arishem with existing stuff.
Yep.
Very, very easily. A lot of the ramp options are easily accessible, already given to you, so yeah. I say all that by saying, do I think you should gamble keys to get Arishem if you don't have 4? No.
Okay.
If you're missing some cards that are in the spotlights this time around, maybe, but these cards aren't really good.
No, they're really not.
So if you have spare tokens, maybe you go the token route.
Yeah.
Right. If you've been, and just a shout out for those that are low on resources, either save your gold for the gold bundles, or like I do, I like to use the gold to at least get to the midway point of the albums to get the rewards, keys, credits, stuff like that, because it also gives you a track in the variant section that when you finish, you get a premium mystery variant and 2,000 tokens, and you can hit that pretty easily with just the season pass every season. I do the season pass, I do the gold pass, and I spend more money on all of my viewers than I do on myself in the game, which is absolutely crazy. But And I'm able to hit that reward track typically every season. And I usually have at least 6K tokens sometime within the month.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's good advice. I mean, obviously it's going to depend on where everybody is with their finances and this and that in the game, where you are with cards. I mean, there are more important, I shouldn't say important, maybe that's not the right word, but there are cards that people should be looking at if you're not collection complete that are just better in a lot more decks, like a Nocturne or like a,
If you're 1 or 2 cards away from like getting the perfect 12, obviously you get the perfect 12.
Yeah.
If you're a person that just likes to play on a Sunday and do wacky stuff and just have fun, and I don't care about anything else except my entertainment value, Arishem is for you. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, there you go. Good stuff. So let me go back here. Obviously, this is old news, but just real quick, your thoughts. Latest OTA, Angela doesn't look like she was really affected. I'm still seeing her in those same Dina lists.
Sure.
People are playing Kingpin a little bit now. I saw some move decks along with Hercules and some without. Miles, of course, in those lists as well. But yeah, if there's anything that stands out, like what are some of the things that stood out to you on this OTA?
This is the balance of the 4/6. 3 of the cards got adjusted to 4/6.
Yep.
All right, so I'll just rapid fire. We'll go through. Angela's still a good card, right? Even if you were playing 4 cards on her previously, she's getting a 10 power. Now she's getting a 7. The -3 isn't that big a deal, especially when you couple that with all of the bouncing and moving and switching stuff that you can do with Angela. Kingpin needed to be adjusted at 2 power. They already removed an entire turn from him with regards to how move works now, right? So you can't play him on 6 and have any kind of value. The same holds true to Hercules. So they had to give them back something. Moving them to a 1/2 and a 3/4 respectively was I called this on my show, and I was like, they got to make them cheaper. That being said, would I have kept their power? I would have. I think a 1/3 Kingpin is a lot better than a 1/2 Kingpin, especially when it's so easy to fill the lane and clog and all that stuff is going on now. Like, give the man a chance. Hercules, I understand why they're a little bit iffy on keeping him super duper strong, because he can bounce, and bouncing torches and vultures and daggers can get really, really big, really, really fast. So I kind of understand that power dynamic for him. With regards to high Evo, it sucked having to play him as a 4/4 when you had nothing else to play. I mean, it really sucked. At least he's above right now. You're getting more than what you're paying for him. 4/6 isn't a crazy stat line. It's like what White Queen has, and she gives you a card. Like he enables all of your other cards, right? But 4/6 just feels better playing it, so I love it. Miles Morales, 4/6, he needed a power boost. I think he was very underpowered. I mean, granted, 1 power isn't like, mind numbing. I think the next change they need to make for him is make his cost reduction permanent. I don't understand why it's not. He's not broken at a 1/6. We have a 1/7 with stature. Like, come on. Nick Fury, same deal. He was just he needed a little bit of boost. Okay card, still a great card generator, good for collector lists and whatnot. Eliath getting a facelift. This is huge.
Yeah, it is.
This is huge. People are still crapping on Eliath. Eliath is a monster card right now, guys. 10 points of power is massive.
Yeah, it is.
Not only do you get 10 points of power, but he erases the text of everything in that lane. Just blanks it.
Honestly, Eliath got me to infinite. Like, it literally, it was in that deck that I played, and it got me to infinite. It won me more games than I can even count. You come up, I was praying to get Surfer decks, praying for them, because I'm like, dude, I can pinpoint. You can always pinpoint a Surfer deck and where they're going to play in their lanes, because one of the lanes is Brood. That's almost already full. you'll know which lane they're going to play. And if you can maintain priority, you use that Goliath and wipe them out on that big 6 turn that they're going to try to drop Surfer, Absorbing Man, everything else they do. And so I was praying for them. But yeah, Goliath is really good right now. Really, really good.
Goliath eats Wong decks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wong, too. Oh, yeah. I loved it. The player I was playing, I won 8 cubes off of them. The player I was playing had a Wong Mystique out. And I'm like, oh, you poor soul. And I'm like, the very next turn, I put the Goliath down. I'm like, nothing. And he had a Gambit. And he had Gambit and something else in there. And I might have been
an Odin.
Yeah. I don't know if he was able to get both. It could have been. Man. It could have been. Yeah, it could have been. But he was ready to wipe out my entire board. I'm like, nope, not this time.
Yeah,
but awesome. Yeah, Goliath is damn good now, man. I was away from that card for a little while. I'm glad he's better now because I got that Rian Gonzalez Goliath, which I absolutely love. It's adorable. And so I was able to play it. But yeah, no, I agree. I think Goliath's back. And yeah, man, I've seen people playing him in zoo lists. There's a zoo list out there with the Goliath in it. I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah, this is a great OTA. I think all of the OTAs need to have this type of impact.
Yeah, yeah. I agree.
If they strive to make bad cards good with everyone, it's gonna be wonderful.
Yeah. Now, one quick question about Haibo. So,
sure,
I've heard other content creators talking about it. Like the deck isn't what it used to be. Like it used to be pretty competitive. You used to be able to stand up to, a lot of the stuff that's in the meta. People aren't really thinking that as much as the case anymore. So now they did say in this patch notes that they may look into High Evo further. So like, what do you think they can do with it? Yeah, obviously, giving them the extra points of power is good, but do you think maybe down the road they start, and I don't even know, like, how do you would have to make literally new cards with no abilities, which I don't see them doing that either. No. So like, what would you do to kind of maybe kickstart High Evo a little bit if you could?
Personally, I think the list relies too heavy on Affliction.
Yeah,
which is easily countered by Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a lot of Luke Cage running around, especially with the prevalence of Shadow King. Like Luke Cage is you just need it, right? In a lot of lists.
Yeah.
That being said, I think if they toned down the Affliction some and added more to the bonus power, right? Like the Misty Knight giving the +1, maybe instead of Cyclops giving -1 to each card, he gives -1 and then a +1 to an ally or something with like here's a health pack or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's cool. That'd be cool.
Who knows? I just think that they don't need to lean so heavily on the Affliction side of things.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, sorry, I
no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
The big, like, you're gonna win when you can land your Cyclops on a lane where they have all of their stuff already set up. Like you're like, okay, I won.
Yeah.
But if they have Luke Cage, it's like, oh,
not so much.
I can't get that. I can't get that cheap Abomination out.
Yep.
Whoops. Now I have to full skip, and I'm not going to be able to get the Affliction, but I can get She-Hulk and maybe Hulk if I have an additional turn. It's awkward.
It is. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a deck that that's kind of important because it's a deck that, like, players that aren't necessarily that that not necessarily have all the cards can still play, because you're getting a lot of these cards from the first 3 series of the game.
Yes, so, this is like the starter list,
right?
Like you get High Evolutionary and you immediately get a whole bunch of different lists, right? You can play the bonus power list, you can play the Affliction list. There's multiple Affliction styles. You can do one with the Abomination, one without the Abomination. You could do the Leech with the Infant. Like there's a whole bunch of combinations that this singular card unlocks for everybody that's new.
Yep.
So having it be middling is probably not the best.
Yeah.
Do you want it to be like creme de la creme, like, oh my god, High Evo destroys everything? No.
No.
But
Yeah.
it needs to be somewhat competitive.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I think it's like a C tier, possibly low B right now, and it needs to be like a really high B.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that, I mean, they have a card. I think, what is it? Ajax. I think Ajax is the one with the affliction that gets bigger whenever other cards are afflicted. So you can stick him in this if you could find room for him, and he might help out. But like, to your point, if people are playing Luke Cage, it's just over. You're just not winning. And so, yeah, I don't know.
What you have to run Rogue, right? And then, but that's another piece of your puzzle that you don't have because you have to play Rogue. But it is what it is. I mean, you gotta do counter what you're seeing out there, guys. And that's probably the biggest advice. What you see, like, everybody's gonna throw out a deck list, but that deck list is good for the person in their own little world space of Marvel Snap. What they're seeing, that's not exactly what you're seeing. Like, having played even some of my viewers' accounts, they'll be like, hey, Obi, I'll give you my password and my login information. Play some games for me. And the decks you see are vastly different as you go from rank to rank, even from 70s to 80s, 80s to 90s.
Oh, I've noticed that on my journey when I hit Infinite. Yeah, they definitely are. Yeah, they definitely are. I was seeing a crap ton of Surfer. And then when I got into the 90s, it became Zoo. And it became what else was I seeing in there? Well, the Angela Athena decks with Nocturne, that list. So yeah, no, you're right. It does vary from place to place that you go, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So be flexible and look to counter things that you're seeing often.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're seeing a lot of Luke Cage, maybe tech in that Rogue or Enchantress. If you're seeing a lot of High Evolutionary, same deal. Or you could do Red Guardian, something so that when you go up against the list, you're not just like, I can't do nothing.
Yep.
You have an answer.
Yeah, Red Guardian's becoming a really, really good card. I mean, I think people kind of slept on that card, but it's a really, really good card.
That dude's a G. Absolutely.
Yep.
Angela Killer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So that is the OTA. Figured we just cover that a little bit very quickly, and we'll be waiting to see what they come up with next. Obviously, shout out to Nina is Noob for that graphic.
Nina.
Yeah, Nina does an amazing job with that graphic all the time. So, all right. So I'm gonna go into the future a little bit, and we will look at some of the things that are coming up. Obviously, we have the big
thing really quickly. I'm sorry, I didn't mean
no, dude, go ahead.
Here, but before we get too far away, Nina's actually my next guest on Deep Space. So
no kidding.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested in learning more about Nina, come check out Deep Space on the 14th, guys.
Now I have to check this. So is this Deep Space is what, a podcast too?
Yeah, Deep Space is my live podcast on Twitch. So we run it live. We do it with a new Snap creator generally every week. Sometimes we skip a week for holidays and whatnot, or maybe somebody has to cancel, or someone just flat out says, I don't want to do it. Like that's also happened. But that's we learn more about them on a personal level. Nice. So instead of just talking just Snap, we're learning about their lives, their experiences. Like we've had some amazing guests on the show. Who would have known that Devilish Play is probably like the best cosplayer I've ever met?
That's awesome.
Like, dude, if you saw, I'm gonna send you some of the pictures of his Iron Man suits that he made.
Nice.
They're gnarly. Like it's almost like movie quality stuff. It's legit good. Ika is a magician. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
Yeah, he's legit a magician.
That's cool.
JJ Rolk, international man of mystery. Like, and we would have never have known any of this, unless they came on Deep Space and we had a conversation. So if you want to learn more about your favorite Snap creators on a personal level, come check out Deep Space.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I'll have to definitely check that out. I like that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Awesome, dude.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. I love it. Yeah, Nina's great. I watch a lot of Nina streams. There's streamers that I've loved since the very beginning when I first started playing Snap that I latched onto. Obviously, Cozy and Alex's podcast every week was one of the first ones I listened to.
Right.
Binks, Cam Best's podcast, like all of those that are still going today. But it's yeah. There's a tremendous amount of people out there that do really good work. And Nina, I just love watching her videos. She's really fun.
Oh, she's hilarious.
To watch. She really is. She must have just done recently, because I watched it, I think last night or the night before. One of those ones where you're watching people play the game and you're watching like the moves that they make and things like that. And then she's just giggling her head off at some of the stuff that happens on the thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's amazing. That's tremendous.
I got featured on one of those one time early on. Yeah, I was like, yay, need a video.
Oh man, that's great. I love it. That's like I said, it's part of the reason why I like the community so much. Everybody's like really cool, and everybody's really good at just different things. Everybody just does things differently, which is neat. So yeah. All right. So let me get off this one. We'll move forward here, and I'll go a little bit ahead. And obviously, we have Deadpool and Wolverine coming up next week. Actually, next Tuesday will be the start of the season. So I guess real quickly, we'll just go through the cards a little bit. So we have, this is our season pass, and it is Gwenpool, which is not, by the way, in any way, shape, or form affiliated with Deadpool, which is the weirdest thing that they put her in there. But people love her. She sat in data mines for a good long time, and now she's coming out. So she's a 4/6 on reveal. Pick a random card in your hand 3 times, give +2 power each time. Now, I've had some people not too enthused about this, especially we've been pretty blessed by the cards we've got. A lot of them have been really good, like staples to the game. You and I just mentioned Red Guardian, Nocturne. They're in every deck. Literally so many meta decks because they're just so good. But what do you think of this card? I don't know. Like the RNG with this may make it a little weird.
It's a 4/12.
No, you're right. Yeah, she's always going to be a 4/12 card. 100%.
It's a 4/12.
Yep.
Yeah. Miss Marvel was what initially? 4/15.
Yeah. Yeah. Because 5 on each. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Right. Like, and this is only 3 points off of that pace. Granted, I understand that it's going to be manipulated, but maybe you can manipulate your hand so that you only have a singular card, and the singular card gets +6. I don't know. Maybe you hit Brood with it a few times after you already rocked out a Fastos on this bad boy too. Like, I don't know. I like this card. This card looks impressive to me.
See, now you made me a mission. Now I'm going to end up playing a Galactus deck with her in there and try to have Galactus be the only card in my hand. So she makes him a 6. Makes him a 6. What would he be? A 6? I know he's 5 now, right? 6'5". He'd be a 6'11".
Yeah. What if you play this on Wong?
Yeah, it's a good point, man. I mean, he is.
What if you play this and then you play the Nomura girl afterwards?
Oh man, yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's pretty big, man.
This could be broken.
Imagine having a Jeff in your hand and you play her you play her on a Wong lane with a Jeff. You put the Jeff down and the Jeff's like has 15 power. It's like, yeah. You're probably right. Yeah, it probably could get broken in a way. Yeah. Well, hey, let's hope so. Season passes are always the best value in the game. I'm sure you'd agree with that. You 100%. Mentioned it a little bit before. So, this is usually the thing you want to purchase, like you were saying in the Gold Pass, to get all the stuff that's on the track and everything like that too. So, yeah, it looks like a fun card, and we'll have to see how it is. But that will be the first card released, of course. And after that, along with this one, Hydra Bob. Hydra Bob's a 1/4. He after each turn moves if the player snap. The first card I think we have that plays with snaps or messes around with a condition of snapping. So not the best stat line, but neat the fact that you can move him when he snaps. So I don't know. What do you think
Deadpool's
of Hydra
Diner.
Bob?
This is the Deadpool's Diner card.
Oh, you think
Because
so? Yeah.
yeah, there's automatic snaps built into Deadpool's Diner. And that happens multiple times throughout the game.
Yeah, good point.
So you're getting 3 moves, and if you have like a Craven or whatnot, like this is free points, and it's a 1/4. Like what? 1/4? How come this card's 1/4 and my boy Kingpin is suffering at a 1/2?
1/2.
This is a travesty.
You look at both characters too, and Kingpin would be very much higher than this guy in the comics.
This dude looks like a tool.
He is. Yeah, he 100% is. He's a comic relief character in Deadpool comics, who basically just gets flattened every time he's in the book. Like he just literally gets beat up, destroyed. Like, yeah, he's nothing but comic relief. So yeah, no, 100%. You look at it from that standpoint, yeah, Kingpin definitely does deserve a better stat line than this guy.
Yeah, 100%.
It's cool though. But yeah, good point with Deadpool's Diner. You're right. Yeah, it's a card you're going to want to play there because you have to snap. Yeah.
Well, I think it snaps for you. It just does it.
It does. Yeah. If a player snapped, yeah, it does. But yeah, that's a good point. I mean, get those move decks out, get Craven out, and all that kind of stuff, and you have them moving around the board. Although if your opponent plays a Kingpin, you might not be that happy. But yeah, we'll see. All right, next up we've got Ajax.
Ajax.
It's a 5/5.
The bathtub cleaner.
Oh man, I love it. +1 power for each card in play afflicted with negative power. Again, we mentioned high Evo. I would say Scorpion. If you play a Scorpion, you're doing their deck. Yeah. So every card they're going to play is going to give this guy, +1 power. So, Hazmat, have a Hazmat in the deck as well. You just got to pray the other player isn't playing with Luke Cage, just like we were talking about with high Evo, because then you're kind of screwed, and that's a really bad stat line. 5/5 is not very good. But I don't know. I mean, you play junk, affliction type junk with Hazmat, with Scorpion and stuff like that, or you play high Evo junk, and maybe this guy can fit in.
I think he's got a spot for sure.
Yeah.
At a 5 cost, man, it's kind of steep though, man.
It is. Yeah. If you end up playing on curve, and that's the thing with high Evo too, though, because high Evo wants to play certain things at certain times.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, but yeah, you have to see whether or not it fits in a particular type of deck and stuff like that. But yeah. Next up, we have Copycat. Copycat is a 3/5. When you draw this, steal the text from the bottom card of your opponent's deck. Good for knowledge. I mean, you're gonna find out what your opponent's playing, which is kind of cool. You're also gonna find out that if they're playing a Hela on the bottom of their deck, then you know that, and you could certainly snap on that because you know they're not getting their Hela. So kind of cool card for information, I think. Neat ability. I mean, could you imagine? I don't know. I imagine like stealing really anything out of there that you can think of. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Copycat?
I mean, a 3/5 Goliath sounds amazing to me.
Yeah, it does. That's very true. Yeah.
For 3 power, I'd throw her in a list and see what she's capable of for sure.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm always thinking Galactus, so yes, a 3/5 Galactus, I'm good with that too. But yeah, she seems like she's going to be fun. And like I said, deck information is good. When you can tell what your opponent is playing by getting a hint from a card, and especially knowing that card's on the bottom of their deck, that's very valuable information to have.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's why Spider-Ham is so dope.
Very true. Yeah, because he reveals that card 100%. Yes, sir. All right. Finally, our free card, Cassandra Nova. And this has been changed, by the way. She's a 3/1. On reveal, it is now steal. No longer drain, but steal. 1 power from each card in your opponent's deck. It's pretty decent, right? Like, I mean, you're gonna be at worst what 3.7, 3.8, in and around there at the very worst. I would think.
Well, it's on reveal, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. I'd say about that. She's gonna be like another sage, right? You wanna bounce this card.
yeah,
And she works with Ravona, which is freaking wild.
yeah. She does.
At least the first time, right? Like after she does her shtick, she's not gonna get the discount anymore. But you're gonna be beasting her back up so she gets a discount anyways. It's just like, all right, she's still a 2, amazing, right?
Yep.
You couple this with some Wong and Sage action, maybe even an Odin off the top, and it starts to get real ugly really quick. This looks to be another like big 3 cost scaler, and I'm excited.
Could be something you might even consider throwing Ajax in your deck for if you're going to play that way, because obviously they're all going to have negative power, or I'm sorry, yeah, negative. They're all going to have that from this. So she's the main villain in the Deadpool Wolverine movie as well. I didn't know much about her. She is she's an alternate universe Professor X, essentially is what she is. So
neat.
There's somehow the blood of her somehow created her. She's kind of almost like a clone, I think. I want to say, but yeah. So we'll be seeing her at the end of July when the Deadpool film comes out. So
she's a bloodbender.
She is. And she's a free card, like we said before.
Yes,
the card is free. So yeah, man. All the way back. We're gonna go over some of these with you real quick too, because I want to talk to you about the new mechanic that's coming. So this is
Activate.
yes. So this is now obviously July, August is going to be the Young Avengers. So this is September.
Right. This is a ways out.
Yes, Madam Web, of course, is the I saw the movie. I didn't. People hate on it. It wasn't mostly Sony stuff. I trash. Especially if it's stuff that's Spider-Man characters without Spider-Man, which never made any sense to me. So most of the time I trash it. This wasn't bad. Like the movie wasn't terrible. Like Morbius, awful. I'm assuming Craven's probably going to be awful. But
Craven has, at least from the trailers, looks amazing from the trailers. It does
look good from the trailer. Yeah, it does. And
it's got Kick-Ass in it. Like, come on.
I just can't believe that they couldn't, like, why, if you're Sony, you own the properties, right? They own Miles Morales. Why not have Miles Morales be the Spider-Man in these films? Like, it to me, it's silly. Like, you could have been doing that all this time. Those Spider-Verse movies are incredible. Like, I love those. They're incredible. They could have just.
Oh, I can't wait for the next one, man.
Oh, they were
I hated how they left that one like on the cliffhanger. I was like, oh no, I need to know what happens. No.
Yep. They're so good, man. But I'm glad they have Marvel to kind of rein them in a little bit, because let me tell you, and I don't know if you've ever heard this, but when the whole thing first started, it was back when they wanted to combine with Marvel. It started around the time of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films. And they had plans, like they literally released a list of movies that they wanted to make with Spider-Man or Spider-Man concerned. One of them was Aunt May, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. I kid you not. This was a movie that Sony had planned to do at some point on their list of Marvel films. And I'm like, dear God, Aunt May, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay, that's but so I'm kind of glad they ended up partnering up with Marvel. But anyway, back to the season. We have Aranya, we have Scarlet Spider, and Symbiote Spider-Man, all with the abilities of Activate. So, what do you think of these new abilities, man? I personally, so many people are always asking for changes to the game, right? They want new. They want something different. I think this is going to provide it, because if this reminds me, and you played Magic, so this reminds me of Magic in a way. Remember the tapping mechanic, right? Obviously in Magic.
Yes,
it's kind of what I'm thinking that this is
blue squirrel token deck where I could tap target creature and then tap my opponent's creature mana, whatever it was. So I had every turn I was literally tapping 10 squirrels and tapping out your mana, and then you'd be like, oh, I can't play anything. Oh, it's my turn again. Okay, I'm gonna do it again.
Yep. Yep. This goes way back too, but when we were playing in a tournament, and a friend of mine brought a deck with a card called Stasis. Stasis was horrible. It was a blue card, and it would make you, whenever your cards tap to attack, they would stay tapped. You could not untap them.
Oh no!
So he's playing this card
like permanently.
Permanently.
God!
The only way you could get them to untap is if there was a condition that had to be met with the card, if I'm not mistaken. He had to tap a certain amount of mana to keep it going. If he couldn't, then you could untap the next turn. But the way that he had the deck was, I will never forget this. He was playing against a kid who was playing goblins. He must have had 13 goblins on his board, all of them tapped, none of them able to untap. So he just had a board full of cards, unable to do a darn thing with it. So it was like, it was brutal. But I imagine that do you think that these will work that way? Do you think activate will be similar to tapping, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think back, you mentioned this earlier, the initial release of Kitty Pryde kind of had activate as a mechanic.
It did.
It didn't say activate, but it said, hey, you can tap this card to bring it back to your hand whenever you wanted. Yep. So it was kind of like you were activating her ability to get the F out, right?
Yep.
So this is along the same lines. It looks like they finally have worked the kinks out with that mechanic. And I was so pumped for when Kitty Pryde released because of this specifically. Yep. I was like, if they are able to make it so that I can trigger things at a certain time, that opens up a whole new world of counterplay,
it really does.
of back and forth, of like cool things you could do to turn the tide in your favor at any given point in the game. That's cool, man.
It really is.
And I think this is gonna do that. Like they're starting slow, right? It's just move stuff for the most part from what I saw. But imagine if you could tap target, creature to give +2 to everything in the lane.
Yep.
Like, ooh, turn 5. Oh, I'm huge now.
This is going to create, I think, a whole new gameplay mode, because you're going to see, like, people are going to have to now. So you're going to need to be aware, right?
Yeah.
Aranya, Scarlet Spider making the clones, Symbiote Spider copying the text. You're going to now need to be aware of this, because if you're not going to win games. The player that's playing these and gets good doing this are going to beat you. I honestly think that this mixes up everything. I think this mixes up the whole ladder, everything. Like everybody who was great at the game, like your Lambies, your players who are just amazingly good, I think are going to really have to learn this quickly, and they're going to have to get good at it, or this is going to even the playing field. Because now people who are terrible are just not good at the game. Yeah, okay. But I mean, I literally
here's what I'll say, and I'm not a good player by any means.
I'm never gonna. Yeah,
I'm just a dude in a hat. But those people that are in the top 50, top 100, top 200, they're there for a reason. There are people out there that honestly think that it's just RNG and whatever locations comes out, and it has very little to do with skill. That they're vastly mistaken. If you're not understanding the skill needed, that means you don't have the skill. Right. Those people have like an awareness of locations, what are good, what are bad for the list they're playing. They have a impeccable knowledge of all of the meta lists that are going on in the game, so they can kind of calculate the power output of their opponent's plays, where they're going to be playing. They can shift tempo. Like there's so many things. I say all this to say is that they're there for a reason. I understand that this new mechanic is going to come out, but all of those things are still going to hold a key factor. Even when these things come out, they're still going to be in the top, dude.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Maybe I stated it wrong. I think that even them, though, are going to have to learn the mechanic quick. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's true of any card, right? Like, Yeah, on reveal, do this wacky stuff. There's a learning curve to it for sure.
And I think it'll shake it up a little bit. But what's cool about this is that now they can go back, even if they want to go back to older cards and stuff like that, and add this activate mechanic on there now. So
I don't know if they'll do that.
You don't think? Yeah.
So older cards, that's like a whole text change, isn't it?
It would be, but maybe cards that call for that. I'm not saying they'd go do it a lot, but maybe there's cards that are out there that they were thinking of changing text to begin with. For one reason or another.
Maybe I would be down with that. I mean, anything to make stuff that's sitting in the bin in your collection that's never been played relevant, I'm about, man.
Watu, baby, let's go.
I mean, there's a few like constants in this game, and I'm just gonna state a few. And Second Dinner, if you're listening, I'm probably crazy, but that's okay. Just hear me out, right? M'Baku, he needs to jump from your hand too. Okay. Yeah. I just don't understand. Just let him jump from your hand.
Silly. Yeah.
90% of the time he's in your damn hand anyways. Make him jump out of your hand.
Yeah.
It's a 1-2. Really? Are we gonna split hairs over a 1-2 that all it does is jump on the board?
Right.
I mean, Kingpin negatives cards and he's a 1-2. Like, come on. Owatu, if he's in your list, you should be able to see all three locations.
All three, yeah, for sure.
Without a doubt, hands down. Like it's not that game breaking. Believe me. If you see the opponent playing into a certain lane like crazy, you know that you should probably match that because they know something that you don't. And that's just, like, hey, why is he playing in that blank lane? Like, oh my God, he's putting all his cards there. Okay, I need to match. Something's going on here that I'm not aware of. It's not that wild, guys. Second Dinner, not that wild. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Miles Morales, permanent cost reduction. All right. Sorry. I could all day. I apologize. We'll stick to these three only. We'll stick to those three.
The symbiote Spider-Man, I'm surprised we even got. I'll be honest, because we already have there's a Spider-Man variant for this. The McFarlane drawn one where he's sitting up on the thing and all the webs are behind him. I own it. Yeah. It's literally a comic book cover. So I'm really surprised we're getting that card. I'm actually happy. I like that. And I also love the Scarlet Spider. He's such a goofy character. He wears a hoodie, which is the craziest thing. And he's from that whole mess of a Clone Saga from the Spider-Man book. So I'm glad we're getting them though. It's kind of cool. And obviously Silver Sable sat in the bin there for the longest time, never releasing too. So kind of neat we're getting her too. So, but yeah, I'm anxious to see what this activate thing does. I really am. And like you were saying, this is a move. Maybe. Yeah. Now here's my thought. And I'll go to the next slide because it has to do with this, right? This, I believe, is going to be October. And the reason I believe that is because of the Halloween theme. This is supposed to be Venom Carnage. So you have Agent Venom, Anti-Venom, Misery, Scorn, and Toxin. I believe this is going to be a Destroy month. I also believe they're going to put activates on some of these Destroy cards. So I think what they're going to do going forward, maybe I'm wrong, but I think these next 4 or 5 seasons are all going to be themed for a certain deck type. And I think they're going to put activate cards in basically using these next 4 or 5 seasons they're going to put activate into all the deck types probably by the end of the year. That's what I think they're going to do.
I'm about it. This sounds like fun.
Yeah. Yeah, Destroy hasn't changed since X23, so this would be cool if you kind of put activate cards in a Destroy deck anyway.
Dude, Destroy with X23, like just
overpowered. OP. Yeah.
I mean, OP. I don't know if it's OP. It still runs into consistency issues, draw issues, but when it hits, man, does it hit hard?
Oh yeah, it does.
You just can't keep up. Like if it's running downhill, if it's running downhill, like you're screwed unless you got like the two equalizers, Shadow King and Shang-Chi.
Yep, Shang-Chi or Eliath can stop it. I've beaten a couple of them with Eliath because if you know that you see that Knoll sitting there, you're like, yeah, no, I know what he's doing. Yeah, it's if they leave that one card in that one lane and you have priority and you can you can get it with the Eliath, you're like, yeah, I know what you're doing. So, but yeah, I think it'll be pretty cool. I hope I hope I'm right. But it would just kind of seem that way because I'm not really sure why they do 2 Spider-Man centric seasons one after the other. It kind of seemed a little weird to me that would be the case. This fits Halloween because these cards are all kind of like monsters, basically. So like I could see that happening. But if this is indeed true and this ends up being October, I would bet that this is going to be a move-centric season. Because of just we all know Venom, Carnage, they're all a part of Move. So I would bet that this would probably be that. So, and then, oh my gosh, that is the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man dance when his eye can't. I have to have that emote. I have to have that emote. Oh my God. Could you imagine if they played movies when you played the emotes and they played that goofy song that he was dancing to down the New York street? Oh my God, that would be amazing. But yeah, I need that. I like the Sinister. What I don't get here though, what the hell happened to the other two parts of the Sinister Six, man? I'm a Mysterio fan. Where's Mysterio at? They could have fit him in that graphic.
There's only so much that they could throw in the thing, right?
In the emotes, yeah. That's cool.
All right. So PSA for the emotes. They're expensive. We understand. I understand.
They are.
Buy yourself a gold pass, and then the only currency you really need to spend is time.
True.
$5 gets you a emote with the gold pass if you collect it through the whole month and you have the season pass. Hands down, and it's not this exorbitant amount. I understand that you have to wait, right? But it's not like the gold pass value's there, guys. It's get it, because they may change it and it maybe won't be as good sometime in the future, possibly. So get it while the getting's good, I would imagine.
I agree. Yeah, great points. Yeah, I mean, look, I like the fact that they're giving these out a little bit now. You get them in the collection track. And you get them in albums now. And I'm wondering if now that we're getting that specific character albums that are coming with the Deadpool and Wolverine, if you won't end up getting them in there too. So we are seeing stuff. I like the fact that they gave away some of the borders, right? When we did the login event, you got some borders.
No, that was awesome. You got a neon green, 2 of the metallic ones. That's 3 borders that you could throw on some of your spicy splits. Like,
Yep.
Second Dinner catches a lot of crap. An insane amount of crap. And it's some of it is warranted, but it's not all warranted. They are very, very generous with their player base. We need to be focusing on the good things that they're doing as opposed to all of the things that you're not happy with. I understand there's a need to state your opinion and say that you're unhappy with the weekend missions and all of that stuff. That being said, they do provide a decent amount of value for those that don't put in any monetary input into the game. And by far, it's one of the more generous card games that I've ever been a part of.
I agree. I haven't played many mobile games, but to be honest, the ones I have played in the past, like I tell this story too. I played a game. I want to say it's been a while because it came out around the time of Avengers. So right around the time of the first Avengers movie and the second Avengers movie is when it released. And then, of course, Infinity War. It was called Marvel Battle Lines. Man, people want to know what a gacha game is like. Holy crap. Like you had to buy packs, right? There were packs of cards. The game played almost like tic-tac-toe. The characters lined up on a tic-tac-toe board, and you'd have to put your little cards out on each one, and one beat the other and stuff like that. But I remember trying to get Thanos. And, oh, my God, like one pack. The Thanos particular pack, they told you which pack it was. Okay, here's the Thanos pack. You want to try to get him, go ahead. You weren't guaranteed. And those packs cost like $30 a pop for a pack of 5 cards. And you were not guaranteed to get anything in those packs. So you want to talk money? Like that, that was and that game, I remember, going through it and, I spent a decent amount of money. And then I remember getting up to about the time when Black Panther released. And they're like, oh, yeah, we got this cool release coming out with Black Panther, with the movie and stuff like that. Next thing you know, a day later, they're like, well, we're canceling the game. I'm like, oh, my God, dude. That was the worst. But yeah. No,
how much were you in to that game at that point?
Probably don't even want to say. It had to be.
All right, well, don't.
Had to be $500 or more.
Oh my! Right in the pills.
Yes. Yeah, it was awful. It was the worst thing ever. And I only got it because it was a Marvel IP, because I figured but yeah, right. The awful. So you're right. People don't understand like these other mobile games. I mean, my God, even a game as old as Candy Crush, they'll do that little thing. Hey, you want to get past this level? Give me $1, give me $1, and you can keep playing. So it's prevalent everywhere.
Where you can only play 10 games today.
Yep.
Until you recharge your game-o-meter.
Yep.
Or you could spend $20 to play more games.
Yep.
Snap lets you play as many games as you want.
Right. You're right.
Without fail. In fact, there's people out there that are farming experience, to get the season pass reward track stuff, because you can do that.
Yeah.
It's nutty how incredibly I mean, generous is a probably not the best word I would say, but it's the one that's coming to mind. They are generous in very much respects. I know people hate the keys, the spotlight keys. That system is generous. I understand it feels bad, but it's incredibly generous, guys. Like, you guys have no idea. You can get the free card almost every week if you roll well.
Yeah.
And you could get other things that you're missing as well. So if you plan out strategically the weeks where you're missing the majority of cards, that's good. I understand getting the random 4-5 is a feels bad. I get it. I've hit that so many times. I understand. But it doesn't take away from the fact that this is a very, very generous system that they've provided you guys.
Yeah. No, I agree. And look, video games overall, not just mobile games, but video games too, they are charging you for stuff. You finish a game, like let's say you Spider-Man, right? You finish it.
Right.
We're putting extra levels in, but you're going to pay us $20 or you're going to pay us $30. So it's everywhere now. It's everywhere. I mean, I started to see this when I was playing World of Warcraft back in the day. They're putting out stuff. Hey, you want this cool mount? You want this? You want these cosmetics or this or this?
Yeah.
Look, it's everywhere. This is just the way games are. These games cost a ton to make, and they've got to make their money back. And by selling a game today for $49.99, I know they're $60 now, but if they're selling a game for $50, they ain't making their money back, guys. Especially if you're not, they can sell millions and millions of copies and stuff like that. But and then let's say people play it for 2 weeks and then they're done, and there's nothing else added to it. They're not making anything more on that. That's just going to be, it's going to sit in your house. You're not going to ever touch it again and stuff. So yeah, this is just the way that the world of gaming is. And I think that you're right. I think people over exaggerate mostly, honestly, and I don't want to piss off anyone, but I hate to say this, but I think a lot of it is when you don't have something. It's a whole thing where it's if you can't get what you want, you get mad. And then, and look, I get it. I get it. Right. I've been there. My kids have done that growing up. You have kids, if younger kids they want something in the store and you're like, no, you can't really have that right now. And what do? They throw a temper tantrum when they're really young, or they get angry or they get upset. I think a lot of it is that. I think a lot of it is you see all this stuff, and then maybe they play against a player who might have their entire deck decked out with these brand new borders, and they're like, man, why can't I do this? And then I think a lot of that comes from the fact that then they start to get angry. But it's, look, like you said, do we need borders to win the games? No, they're not a necessity. They look cool, but it's not needed to win the game. No, I agree. So real quick before we go, tell me one thing that you would improve. One thing that you would improve in this game if you could.
Currently or in the future, I need some context or anything, absolutely anything I want.
Yeah, like if you could get something you wanted, like if so many people wanted a draft mode, I would love a draft mode. I think
okay,
it's cool.
I'm going to tell you exactly what I want.
Yeah.
They're coming out with alliances. I want a friends list within the friends list, I want to have a profile page. If I click on my friend, and within that profile page, I want to be able to display my top 3 variant splits that I have in my collection,
Nice.
my favorite deck of the time, and I want a spectator mode all within that same window. If
Okay.
this guy's playing, I just want to click a button and be like, oh, let me check out Joe. Let's see what Joe's doing.
Nice. I like it. I like it. Yeah, more things closer to being able to interact. I think is good. So yeah, I like all that. And I don't know. I don't think it would be that big of a deal. It's been done in other card games and stuff like that before. So yeah, that's a great shout, man. For me, I just want. I would like to see early game improvements, especially in Series 3. Now, I actually found on the Newverse shop I've been clamoring for them to put out bundles. Just put out a little bundle, and now Newverse has them. They have deck bundles. Yeah.
Yes.
So I dig that. That's fantastic.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge, and they're key cards.
Yep.
They're very key cards. And listen, they've released a ton of exorbitant priced bundles. I'm not gonna lie, the $100 bundles that they've dipped out have been plenty full.
Yeah.
That being said, I know a lot of people aren't talking about it, but there have been a boatload of vibranium tracks within the app lately, within the last 2 months.
Yep.
And those are the bundles for the everyday man. You get some free stuff, and then the first one's like $5, and you get incredible value out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're feeding the lower end. You may not be seeing it or interacting with it, but it's there, guys.
Yeah, those deck bundles are awesome for the value. You're getting tokens as well, and then you're getting 3 cards from a from a deck that maybe you can't make. Maybe you don't have the cards to make a deck like that. But yeah, I think it's great. I think it's awesome.
Come here. Marco, come. Is he going to make an appearance?
Oh,
yeah. You got a paw. That's it. Hey, buddy.
We got a hand.
Yeah.
How old are your kids?
I have a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Oh man, treasure the time. My oldest is she's out of the house. She lives in New Jersey. She's 24. Works for L'Oreal. She's doing really well. And then my youngest is going in her 3rd year of college. I'll say, man, the time flies. It goes so fast. We're empty nesters, which is crazy. It just goes so quick. So enjoy it, buddy. Enjoy it, because it does. Time flies, man. Time flies. So. Well, hey, thank you so much for being on, man. I really appreciate it. I know we went a little bit more than I usually go. But
I'm sorry. Sorry. That's on me. I apologize.
No, don't apologize. It's perfectly fine. I didn't want to keep you. Normally I'm afraid to keep people past like an hour and a half. I'm like, it's kind of long. So no, I appreciate you being on, man. I really do. Before we head out, one more time, tell everybody where they can find you and when do you stream, man?
Sure. OBIHAVED. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, X, and YouTube, all under OBIHAVED. That's OBIHAVED. I'm streaming Mondays and Fridays at 6:30, sometimes 7:30 Central, depending on whether or not I'm primary at work. Sometimes I got to work the late shift. That being said, I am also doing Deep Space on Sundays now. It's the EU edition. We may keep it to the Sunday schedule. That's Sundays at noon currently. You can catch all of the previous episodes on YouTube. We got a brand new editor who's rocking it out, and the episodes have been amazing, are going to be amazing. We have a great intro. We have great art. We have wonderful guests. Thank you for all of my past guests that have been on here. Shout out to all you. I love you guys. And thank you for this opportunity, man. This was a lot of fun. I love coming on and talking about snaps. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do so.
Oh man, absolutely. You are most welcome. I loved having you on, and you're welcome back anytime. Absolutely loved having you, man. So was a great chat about Snap and Star Wars and all that other good stuff. So. All right, guys, that is going to do it for this episode. Of course, this will be coming out. I'll get this out a little bit later, probably in an hour or so. So make sure that if you are watching this, you make sure to sub to the channel. Make sure you hit that like button when you do watch the videos. If you're listening on audio, I love all you audio people. That's where I've started and where I still continue to be thriving over there. So I love all of you guys too. Please make sure that you like the podcast. I don't think you could like it. Actually, favorite the podcast or follow me or also just leave me some comments. I will always answer you no matter what you write. Even if it's something derogatory, that's perfectly okay. I will answer that too. So, yeah, guys, that's going to do it for me for this one. I wish you all the best week with Arishem. Have fun with the card. Enjoy it. And whatever you do with Marvel Snap, enjoy that too. So, that said, please be kind to one another. Be safe. And hopefully, I will see you all on the next episode of Snap Decisions. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. Take care.
Behave, baby.